Metafix is a show that teaches you how to think in the metagame. I am not here to give you the answers, nor am I going to tell you how to win. Metafix teaches you how to play in the metagame and how to react around the metagame and what is in the metagame. If you're looking for the answers, try HC Realms, check the forums, they have all kinds of neat toys and tools and teams being brought up, and check the results of a lot of the ROC tournaments or any Worlds tournaments to see how teams played out and what teams were used for. I'm just here to help you think.
So how long ago was I supposed to do this episode? Alright. So a little while ago, there was a storyline event called Age of Ultron. And there was a set for it. And it came in 2 waves. And I did an episode talking about the first wave. Forgot to do the episode talking about the second wave and its effect on the meta and characters that are good and whatnot. So here it is. This was a little shorter, to be brutally honest. Wave 2 was the more potent powerhouse wave. There was a lot of stronger figures, but not necessarily universally great figures. And part of that is, of course, that sealed is a very different environment than your standard constructed. You bring in the pieces, then you have a lot less guesswork. So with that being said, a couple pieces did stand out to me, figures I plan on using in a couple builds, and it's up to you to kind of deny me these facts. Okay, what I want to preface to this is I didn't bring the characters that are specifically going to be good with ID cards, but a couple of them do include Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Spectrum. Spectrum has her place, but I think she has more of a place on the ID card. And Wonder Man. All 4 of those are going to shine a little bit more in their ID cards, mostly because their ID card inspirations are amazing, and the figures themselves are pretty decent too. As far as not spending their full points and bringing them in is after the fact. Luke Cage, though, you're much less likely to see because of the fact that a lot of the ID card abuse that's being used is in the form of Ultrons and their ability to count as 120 points. Not very many of them count as 125. I think the only one that does on drone mode is the Giant Inhumans one. So, as we carry on through this, there is one figure that I want to point out as a counter kind of to himself, or as the self-counter meta counter, right? And that's the Yellow Jacket. Now, there's a lot of talk of the ability to abuse Ant-Mans and their ability to bring in the giant swarms. Yellow Jacket has a trait that gives him +2 attack and damage, I believe, versus characters with the morph trait. So he's a guy, if you happen to be playing the morph trait, to keep on your sideline in case you come across the same problem that you're bringing. It's a weird ploy to have to consider, but it's a slot in your sideline that's better left for safety's sake, if you catch my drift. Next up is in the smaller end. Let's talk about the smaller end figures that do kind of make, in my mind, the cut. One of which is Tiger. She's more of a hidden gem than anything, mostly because her special ability is Sidestep and Charge. She comes in only at 60 points with 10 attack. Only 2 damage, but that comes with blades, so you get the gamble to upgrade it, as well as super senses. She's also got improved movement, ignore hindering, and ignore elevated. Move down the dial, and then she blasts into some flurry with battle fury and blades. And then late dial, she's got back her sidestep and charge ability with. She's got blades all the way down the dial, late dial combat reflexes, and early dial super senses. Tiger's place is in that little bit of filler that you need to fill out an Avengers team or a Mystical team, because yes, believe it or not, she has the Mystical keyword. I believe she's also got Animal. If you're filling out that Animal team, that might include Wolfsbane or Red Wolf. Animal is a very relevant keyword. Also, of course, never forget that there's Animal Avengers out there, and I'm not referring to the Pet Avengers, it's a different keyword, but there's a lot of animals who are Avengers who might have effects that work on animals. I give you a named keyword with Avengers. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. Next up is White Tiger. Another small combatant, Avengers keyword, 60-point rounding figure. But this one comes with a little bit more stacked damage in the sense of having combat reflexes on a 60-point character with a 3 damage, 10 attack. That could be an 11 damage, 4 attack, 12 attack, 3 damage, or a 10 attack, 5 damage, depending on the situation you want to bring that in. As well, she's got the added bonus of protective probability control, where if somebody's attacking her, she can use probability control, and she's got super senses. So 60 points, it could be a good, strong harassment piece if you're looking at building a team that, you know, acts as a swarm. Some builds that include gates would really kind of motor across the board with the 2 figures that I'm throwing around the board, and say a Gamora along with something to further harass or draw some attacks like a beyond that, we also have the Captain America coming in at 65 points. More likely to be seen on an ID card, though less likely because of the Steve Rogers character, as well as other Captain Americas that exist, such as the Fast Forces one. PD team ability is great, 65-point harasser with hypersonic, 3 damage without wit, and energy shield, plus he gives adjacent characters +1 defense versus range attacks. Which, if they happen to have energy shield on top of that, that's a big stack of +3 defense range. So him in conjunction with Steve Rogers could do a lot, cause a lot of problems at range for some attackers. Beyond that, the final character I want to mention in the low point area is Jewel. Most likely in a 25-point value because Outwit is amazing, and when you bring it for 25 points on a character Willpower and the Avengers keyword, or Avengers team ability, it's a character that you don't mind having handy. We moved into the higher point values, and there's, you know what, I want to say there's more characters, so I want to do some more research as far as testing, but for the most part, really 3 in the high slot of points really stood out to me as far as strong characters. I really wanted to like War Machine, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I even tried him in the sealed, and he wasn't happening. Let's be honest, he wasn't that good a figure anyway. So, I'll start off with one of my favorites, and that's the Ultron 6. The Ultron 6 is great in both his drone and normal form. The normal form, of course, being the tent pole of your team, but, you know, having the ability to pulse wave. Though with the upcoming Superman Blue in this case, we might see less of that power, if you ask me. But as well, he's also got his 30-point value, which comes with the scientist keyword, which I actually did an episode on, which can help round out a theme team as well. Next up is the uncommon Thor. Now, here is the big conversation about Thor, is Thor's got an ID card. Thor is playable at 100 points, so if you choose a 100-point dial, he's a little easier to carry in. Then he's got the free action to drop things, to bring out Jane Foster Pog with support and I believe willpower. So Thor brings to the table an extra healer that could come through in a nutshell. But I want to stress, don't rely just on that. You're using an ID card to bring out a Pog. Use the ID card, take the free action to bring out the Jane Foster, and blast the crap out of something. 3 damage, 10 attack with precision strike. Take out a super sensor. Or if you do happen to have a source that can deal with the 200-point valuation, heck, you've got 11 attack, and I believe that power brings Psychic Blast, and he's also got an enhancement. So stick him around for a turn, give a character next to him 6 range, and blow something up for an extra 1 damage. Look at those options as well as bringing out the token. The token's more, think of it more of a icing or a cherry on top of a big pile of whipped cream. And the next up is Ultron 18.2. There always seems to be one chase in each of the waves that is really a standout, and 18.2 is that one for this one. As far as a competitive game. As far as a sealed game was concerned, that 6-arm monstrosity was fantastic, and it was really tough to beat without the ability to bring in extra options, limiting yourself to 2 packs. Once you open up the game, he's susceptible to Outwit. Nick Fury can probably go toe-to-toe with him and make him weep. There's a lot of figures that will just shrug off the existence of that character. He was good, great and sealed, though as far as the competitive game is concerned, you're more likely to see the 6-armed one possibly in a big drone mode team. The reason 18.2 stands out more to me, again, the drone mode. Also, the drone mode on its peak click has, which is the second click, has enhancement, as well as a couple of other goodies. 10 attack, 4 damage. 18 defense with impervious, and I believe it had running shot or something on the movement. I don't remember 100% off the top of my head, but, and of course the one that I brought was the big dial. One of the other important things that he brings is the Stark Industries keyword, which brings a lot more characters into the forefront as far as the ability to bring out a theme team. Now, I do want to do a whole episode on the new limited format, and that changes some of the viability of a lot of characters, and that's why some of the characters I mentioned here, you're probably going, huh? What? But when I talk about that format next week, you'll see where some of these figures start to shine a little bit more. For the most part, Wave 2, as far as full-blown playability and bringing them into the metagame, not as good as Wave 1. There was some beef, there was some cool stuff, but for the most part, Wave 1 really shined over as far as what you could bring into the game. And with the new announcement of the limited format, that changes to a couple more figures. Wave 2, I felt I stretched this episode, so it was fun. Age of Ultron was great, and we go now into the future. The future contains Rocktober, which by the time this episode comes out is happening on this weekend. And after that, the new Rock limited format, which I will actually be talking about next week, which should be after Rocktober. And don't forget, practice makes your team better.
The opinions and thoughts brought to you in Metafix are not meant for the casual game at the table. Married with Clix is brought to you by Majestic's Heroclix sales down in Costa Mesa, California. Right now, they're in the middle of storefront change. In the meantime, don't forget to check out their eBay store. If you check the link down below, they always have great Heroclix stuff at fantastic prices, and they'll ship just about anywhere.